How to become 4 in Grounded. I'm going to show you how to get both of the weapons that do huge lightning damage and some build ideas about maximizing the power of lightning. And one of these weapons I'm going to show you how to cheese to get it super early in the game. So I told you guys last week there was a brand new axe added to the game, the pinchwacker. It's by the milk carton and it solves one of the biggest mysteries going. What was the berry monster that we saw in the laboratory hiding in this wall? Let's go ahead and build up there, use ladders or drop down using a tuft to get inside this laboratory area, and you will need one bomb. Once inside, you will find the pinchwacker in the garbage can in a laboratory. Smack away at an enemy and you got a chance of doing a shock AoE effect. The prod smacker is something that you can get by completing all of the mixers, including the brand new ones in the upper yard. When you've gone and completed the black anthill, you should find a secret little room with a locked doorway. Once all the mixers are finished, this doorway will then open. But guess what? You can get the prod smacker without opening the door. So you take a look at the actual glass pod outside where you press the red button for the blast doors, and then you go face off against the assistant manager in the black anthill. You'll notice that you can't get in. But if you just take a little bit of time, you might even be able to adjust it if it's still having a problem in the options menu. If you head over to accessibility, you can click the wide interaction to be on. It's not essential, you can still get this without, but it just makes life a lot easier. Stand on a dirt clump, literally just opposite the sort of divider in the glass, and you should be able to go ahead and nab the prod smacker without having to go through that doorway. You won't be able to get all the loot that's inside that chest, which there is a substantial amount, but by the time you've completed all mixers, you probably have got most of the loot that you need to go ahead and upgrade. But it is filled with upgrade materials, supreme stuff, lint and more. But to get the prod smacker super early, it's pretty cool. Now, I think if you grab it in this way, it is actually damaged. You're going to have to repair it maybe with glue. I don't remember it being broken when I actually managed to grab it by opening a doorway. So maybe it's like a sort of penalisation thing for getting it early. Then it's time to let rip. Use the lightning by holding the actual attack button with this in your hand, and it will let out the shock damage. It's not like it absolutely decimated life of creatures, but it certainly gives a new kind of a build, particularly when you start pairing it with other stuff. You basically want to make a Barbarian set here, so either going for Black Ox Harness set, which is obviously later in the game, or going ahead and using a roly-poly set. Go ahead and upgrade them to their absolute max, all of them, making sure you take the sleek path, and you basically get a shorter recharge time using the Black Ox armor set. It's going to actually be really good also for mages, so if you're using some of the mage wands or staves, then you can use some of this stuff like the actual harness and the leg pieces, but just wear the wizard hat. And don't forget the buff for wearing all three pieces is charge attack weaken, so you can weaken the defenses of creatures by using your charge attack. With the roly-poly set, you are going to be wanting to get that again through the sleep path, and you'll get additional blocking strength. So the prod smacker is obviously a club, so you want to be using the Barbarian perk where you don't have to worry about blocking as much, just really go in there. I would use it with something like obviously maybe meat, fresh meat, to get as much health as you can. And equally you could use this with a Ladybug armor set as well. But by combining this with the Black Ox armor set, you won't have to hold the actual attacks as much. You'll be able to release it quicker, or you'll gain them quicker when you hold the attack button. And then also add the shocking dismissal perk, the mutation. You get this by defeating the assistant manager, so it's not like something really late game. And every time you block or perfect parry, you can sometimes trigger a lightning attack. So you've now got a weapon that does lightning attack when you charge it up, and you've got a perk that will give you extra lightning damage if you manage to parry or block. So if you're coming up against big creatures, it can be a really good, powerful, lightning-based character build. There are some negatives, of course, though. When you've actually got Barbarian mode, you go into Rage mode. That's what that pink and red tint is around the edges of the screen, and it means that you can't actually block properly. So while it might seem like you should always go for the Barbarian mutation, you might instead want to just grab something else, like giving you more stamina. Unless you're really truly a Barbarian and you're just going in all out attack. Just remember to go ahead and hold the charge attack for a little while and then wail on them with more combo hits after. Now you can combine that with Thor's pendant, which you get at the Fallen Stump. I've already done a short guide for it, but it's pretty much basically here. Right in the very corner of this little top part of the Fallen Stump. That gives you a 10% increase to pretty much most of your stats. It gives a 1% chance for critical chance, 10% critical damage, 10% heal received. You get a 10% reduction on sizzle effect, 10% reduction on stamina regen delay, minus 10% hunger rate, minus 10% thirst rate, minus 10% attack stamina cost. You'll also get 1 HP every 10 seconds health regen and 5 HP every 10 seconds stamina gen. So when you combine that with pretty much anything, it's always going to do a big buff, but it'll help out particularly if you're taking maybe more hits, as you are going to regen some of that health. I think the Prod Smacker works better against larger enemies perhaps, as it also has one of the highest rates of stun for a weapon pretty much. It does a huge amount, combined with that lightning damage, and you've got a beast of a build here. So go ahead and come up against a creature if you get the chance, hold that attack and unleash it, and then unleash a flurry of blows against it. When the creature's about to wind up attack you, make sure you block or perfect block, and fingers crossed that lightning damage will come out. You'll know the mutations worked as there's a small little symbol that pops up underneath the stamina and health bar, and you can use it within about 5 seconds. I have said in a previous video you only get shock and dismissal to really appear when you're just blocking attacks rather than perfect block, but it does seem to be both. If you're not a big fan of holding attacks, then go ahead and click to Blade Master as a mutation instead, and go ahead and use the pinchwacker. It's not a guaranteed chance of happening of course, but the more that you're waiting on something, then the more that you are going to be unleashing that lightning damage. And you can still go ahead and use that with the mutation of shock and dismissal, just blocking with it or making sure that you've got a decent shield as well, and that's going to make that Barbarian build even better. Particularly against really tough big enemies, holding your defense might be more important, and that's where the roly-poly armor might come in, as it gives you more blocking strength. But equally you can use the roly-poly armor set with the actual Prod Smacker just as much. I think both of these kind of builds are really effective for taking out large creatures, and like I said, maybe mix it up if you've got a whole bunch of smaller ones attacking you and use the actual axe. So there we go, a cheesy way to get the Prod Smacker, a little update again on some of the benefits of it. Hopefully that's been helpful. Go and pretend to be 4 in Grounded, literally named after him, and I'll see you ratbags later.